Here we are with part two. As you see, we have about half of the jar filled with black tea that's been brewed for about a little bit over an hour and has a cup of sugar already dissolved in it. You check the bottom of the pan that you have made the tea in to make sure all the sugar is there. You'll see it's about half. Then you start, if you're not using a SCOBY and you're using a professionally made kombucha that you found a lot of gushy stuff on the bottom, this is when you would pour all of it. You pour all of it into the container. And you'd swish some water around it so you get all the brown eggy stuff into it, because that's the yeast from the SCOBY, from the materials that they've made. I'm going to add, this is filtered water. Some people use distilled water. I use filtered water. Also, some people get very, very worried about their SCOBY, here's what a SCOBY looks like. You see the darker areas and the lighter areas. The lighter areas are the newer formation of the mushroom or yeast formation, and the darker ones are the more mature because it's been colored by tea. So some people, I've watched it on the internet, some people say be careful and not let your SCOBY turn black or green, and I'm like, what? I've been making this forever and I've never had a SCOBY turn black or green. But after you have a SCOBY, you're going to want to contain it after it's finished making your tea, because you want to continue using it in the future. You put it in a container of any sort and put some tea on top of it so that it's floating around in the tea. Cover it and put it in the back of your refrigerator. Don't freeze it. If you freeze it, it will take the yeast formation, it will kill it, basically. You don't want to kill your SCOBY. And what some people do is share the SCOBY. They will separate off the white portion and give that to somebody and keep the more mature portion. Right now, I don't have someone to share it with. If someone wants to, have part of the SCOBY, private message me and we can do that after this next batch is done. So what will happen when you buy the commercial form of kombucha? First of all, get kombucha that is not flavored. Get plain kombucha and organic kombucha. It'll cost between $2 and $3 for a pint. And again, look for all the scudgy stuff on the bottom and make sure that goes into your black tea that's at room temperature or cooler. The reason you don't want it to be hotter than room temperature when you touch it, it should just feel tepid to the touch, is because it will kill the bacteria, and the bacteria is what will make everything really yummy and good. So the next thing you do, let's see if I can do this without creating a mess, is you take your SCOBY, hey little SCOBY, and you put it into the tea. You just gently allow it to go into the tea. Most of the time, it will go to the bottom, which is what's going on right now. It's starting to go to the bottom, and you add the rest of the tea that it's been sitting in. It's actually floating pretty well. Normally it goes to the bottom. It may go to the bottom. Let me dry off my hand and I'll be right back. What some people do is they get cheesecloth. I just use a paper towel. I use a paper towel and I cover the top because you want it to start fermenting. I'll show it to you in just a second. I'll keep talking. I put the paper towel on top with a rubber band, and I'll show you what that looks like in just a second. There we go. Okay, so there you go. You got the paper towel on top with there, and you can kind of see the SCOBY there. It's actually floating, which is good. It means it's a really good SCOBY. And then you're going to cover it, place it in an area where it won't be disturbed, and you cover the base with a towel so that it is, so that light, there we go, it's covered with a towel, so that light doesn't get to the tea. What will happen in the next 10 days to 2 weeks is you will notice that there will be bubbles forming on the tea. You notice that the SCOBY will have grown more. If you're using a commercial tea that doesn't have a SCOBY in it yet, you will notice a film starting to form on the top. It may take 2 to 3 weeks. When I made this SCOBY, it took about 20 days for the SCOBY to form, and it was very, very thin. It wasn't as thick as the one that I have here. The one that I have here has gone through about 5 or 6 fermentations. And that's how you make it. What I will do is after 2 weeks or so, I will show you how to take it out of the container and how to bottle it. I bottle it in glass jars that are clean and sterilized, and I give a bottle or two to friends because there's no way I can drink a whole gallon and store it in my refrigerator. However, I do drink about 4 ounces a day when it's done, and some people drink a glass or two a day. I suggest starting